porch. Well, it's kind of sad for me to say, but tomato season is over. Spring and summer garden is gone. All that's left outside is our fall garden, which is doing pretty well. My main reason for being a gardener, or for starting gardening, was tomatoes. I love tomatoes. We grow a lot of tomatoes. About the middle of tomato season, we are wishing we hadn't planted so many, and we swear that we're going to plant less this coming year, but we probably won't. We'll start out with 40, and then it'll be 60, and then it'll be 90 again. But in any case, we love our tomatoes, and I wanted to take some time to show you how to save tomato seeds. I have saved more tomato seeds. These are actually the last 3 tomatoes I pulled from our garden. But I wanted to take the time to show you the process and to talk a little bit about why saving seeds is a really good idea, and it's not a lot of trouble. So, saving seeds from a tomato, you must start with an heirloom tomato or an open pollinated tomato, and I'll tell you the difference really quickly. A hybrid tomato, and many of the tomatoes we grow are hybrids, is one that has been bred for certain qualities. It's a cross. It may be that it was bred for size. It may be that it was bred for flavor. It could have been bred for disease resistance. But they won't, a hybrid tomato probably won't run true if you save the seeds and plant them. You'll get something. You may not get what you want, because generally a hybrid will revert back. An F1 hybrid, which is a first generation, will revert back to one of the parents. And sometimes in creating a hybrid, one of the parent plants is not a desirable, tasty plant. And if we're growing in our own gardens, we want tasty plants. An open pollinated is one that has, open pollinated fruit is one that has grown naturally over a period of time. It may have been cross-pollinated. It would have been a natural cross-pollination. It's not, tomatoes don't cross-pollinate that easily, but they can. But if you save seeds from tomatoes in your garden, what you're going to eventually get is tomatoes that thrive in your garden. They're going to naturally select for adaptability to you, to your garden, to your soil. An heirloom tomato is generally an open pollinated tomato with a story, and that's basically the difference. Like mortgage lifters have a story. They were created by a guy called Radiator Charlie, where he crossbred over and over until he got a huge tomato, and supposedly he sold the plants for enough to pay off his mortgage. So they're called mortgage lifters. These are Rutgers, and Rutgers started out as a hybrid years ago. They were created at Rutgers University for the Campbell Soup Company. So for making soup and different Campbell's products. So anyway, we grow Rutgers every year. We grow a lot of different tomatoes, but the one tomato that we grow every year is Rutgers, so I always have a lot of those. And I always save some Rutgers seeds. Sorry, I'm about to cut that wrong. And this is how we do it. It's really pretty simple. I cut it long ways because that way all the seed cavity is open. And I generally, this is a little messy, not bad. I generally use either a very small spoon or a grapefruit spoon. And we want to pull the seeds out of the cavity. Now there's gel in here, and this gel is nature's way of protecting the seeds from the elements so that they can survive the winter and then come back on their own in the spring. And of course that doesn't happen with us. I mean, you may have some volunteer plants, but generally speaking we plant what we want and we weed out everything else. So that gel is of no use to us. So our process of saving seeds includes getting that gel off. Now you could just take these and wash them and wipe and wipe and wipe and get that gel off, but there's an easier way. It takes a whole lot less effort, and that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to use natural fermentation to get rid of that gel. And not that I'm going to eat them, and I love fermented foods, but we're going to let the gel, which has natural elements in it that deter germination, we're going to let that ferment off. And I have here a little jar with water in it, just plain water. And I'm going to put gel, seeds and all, in the water. You can chop that up and put it on a salad. If you, like I say, these are Rutgers. We had a lot of Rutgers, and there was nothing else blooming at the time these were. So I'm not worried about it crossing, but I don't particularly care if it crossed. I'm not in any kind of contest. I just like good tasty tomatoes. And most anything that grows in our yard in the soil that's been adapted to grow tomatoes, they're good. We pretty much love them all. I'll do the other one in a minute. I'll just show you this. This is, I'm going to seal this jar up, shake it pretty good to start the process of loosening it. And I'm going to set this aside to ferment. It'll naturally ferment. It needs some oxygen to do that. So every day I'm going to come and open the jar, let it off gas a little, and close it back. That takes about a week. So I'm going to finish these up, and then in about a week I'm going to come back and show you the rest of the process. Well, here we go. It's actually been a couple weeks. I told you a week. And here are our tomato seeds, and they're fully fermented. So the first step is just to sort of go through and pull off the solids that have risen to the top. And if there are any seeds up there with those, it's fine to discard those. They're probably not good. So that's most of the solids gone, I think. And then let's pour it off into a strainer. And I'm going to pull out any other solids that I see. Let's give them a rinse in cold water. And pull out the few solids that are left. Rinse them really good. Well, we got a good many seeds here. Really, this would be enough to plant all the tomatoes that we want for a year, but I like to have different varieties, so there will be others planted. And I'm going to pour these up on a paper towel and dry them off a little bit. There's still, oh, that's paper towel. There still might be a little bit of pulp. I really probably should get a pair of tweezers to do this. Okay, now paper towels are really not a good drying medium. So I have here a brown paper bag. Yeah, you could also use a piece of white typing paper. If you have paper plates, that's good. And spread them out. Now, you'll want to put these in a place where they can dry area. And you'll want to come back a couple of times and separate, because they won't dry fully if they're clumped. And it's hard to get them fully spread out when they're still this damp. Takes about a week. I usually give them 2 weeks to fully dry. 3 weeks won't hurt. Whoops, there's a little pulp. And you've probably got, oh, I'm not going to count them, well over 100 tomato seeds here. This was from 3 tomatoes. When they're dry, fully dry, and you can test them if you can get a hold of one to take it and see if it splits. They're too wet to do that with right now, but you can do that. But a couple of weeks and they'll be fully dry, and then seal them up in something airtight. I use little test tubes. You could put them in little plastic bags and put them away. They'll be good for next year's season and for planting or swapping, and they will probably be good for maybe 3 years. If you'll see on this paper bag, I have put the variety and the date. And if I had a source, say if I had bought the original seeds from Baker Creek or whatever, I would list that too, but I've had Rutgers so long I have forgotten what my original source was. So that's all there is to saving tomato seeds. You'll be set for next year. The last few times I've done this, I got nearly 100% germination because I'm always using fresh seeds from the season before. So good luck. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch.